For over 1,000 years, the British royal family has survived wars, betrayals, scandals, and revolutions, holding the crown in a world that constantly sought to topple them. From bloody battles to palace intrigues, their story is one of ruthless ambition, cunning alliances, and unwavering determination to maintain power. Behind every coronation, every state ceremony, and every throne lies a shadowed history of struggle where family, nation, and empire collide. Their survival was never guaranteed, yet they endured, shaping history and the modern world alike. The story of the British monarchy begins long before cameras, newspapers, or public approval. It begins with blood, ambition, and survival. In the medieval era, every prince and duke lived with the constant threat of assassination, rebellion, or betrayal. William the Conqueror's rise in 1066 set the tone for centuries of dynastic warfare, as foreign and domestic powers collided to claim the crown. From Normandy to England, battles raged, alliances formed and broke, and the fate of entire nations hung on the decisions of young rulers, some barely into their teens. The Plantagenets, for example, faced internal division almost as soon as they claimed the throne. Henry II, known for his brilliance and ruthlessness, balanced familial loyalty against political necessity, yet even he could not prevent tragedy. The murder of Thomas Becket, rebellions from his sons, and constant wars against Scotland and France. The monarchy learned early that survival required not just martial skill, but manipulation, diplomacy, and the willingness to sacrifice even family for the crown. The Tudors, ascending after the War of the Roses, were equally shrewd. Henry VII rebuilt a fractured England into a centralized monarchy, marrying strategically to consolidate power. Yet even his son, Henry VIII, displayed the darker side of royal ambition. His reign reshaped religion, law, and the very structure of society, demonstrating that the crown's survival sometimes required violence, cunning, and ruthless decisions. Wives executed, nobles imprisoned, and rebellions crucial became part of a monarchy willing to defend its place at any cost. But power was never absolute. Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, ruled in a delicate balance of respect and fear. Her authority depended not only on her brilliance in governance, but on her mastery of image, ceremony, and secrecy. Spies, coded letters, and diplomatic maneuvering became as important as swords and armies. The monarchy learned that survival required both force and subtlety, and the English crown became a blend of visible power and hidden influence, a template that would endure for centuries. Over the centuries, royal struggles were not only external. Succession crises, sibling rivalries, and marital disputes threatened to dismantle the very foundations of the monarchy. Each generation faced the same test. Could the crown outlast ambition, envy, and treachery? In times of crisis, the monarchy survived not because rulers were benevolent, but because they understood one immutable truth: the crown itself must endure above all else. By the early modern period, the monarchy's survival depended on more than armies. Diplomacy, marriages, public image, and the careful cultivation of loyalty became essential. The Stuarts, with James I and Charles I, learned harshly that misjudging public opinion in Parliament could cost a king his life, culminating in civil war and regicide. But even in exile, the royal family adapted, survived, and returned, proving that centuries of training, strategy, and cautious governance created resilience that mere rebellion could not destroy. From William the Conqueror to the Stuarts, the British royal family developed a secret formula for survival: combine bloodline legitimacy with ruthless pragmatism, cloak ambition and ceremony, and never let tradition be destroyed, even in the face of political upheaval. These principles allowed them to endure wars, religious upheaval, and societal transformation, and laid the foundation for a monarchy that could survive not just for centuries, but into the modern era. The Tudor dynasty marked a turning point in the history of the British monarchy. Henry VII emerged from the ashes of the War of the Roses, a period when the crown itself had been a prize fought over by rival houses. His ascent was not just a victory in battle, but a masterclass in political strategy. He married Elizabeth of York, uniting the warring factions and establishing legitimacy for his heirs. Yet Henry VII's rule was characterized by caution, shrewdness, and an almost obsessive vigilance. Every noble marriage, every appointment, every tax collected was calculated to secure the monarchy and prevent rebellion. His son, Henry VIII, would take the Tudor legacy to a dramatic new level. Henry's reign was defined by ambition, personal desire, and a vision of absolute authority. He reshaped England through the Reformation, severing ties with the Catholic Church and creating the Church of England. This was not merely a spiritual decision. It was political genius. By placing himself as head of the Church, Henry consolidated power, controlled wealth, and asserted the supremacy of the crown in ways no English monarch had before. But the cost was immense religious upheaval. Executions and the shadow of tyranny haunted his rule. Marriage, succession, and personal rivalry dominated Henry's life. 6 wives, each union carrying political weight, demonstrated that family and power were inseparable. Anne Boleyn's rise and tragic fall exemplified the perilous intersection of ambition, desire, and politics. Ibn Takin's own children would inherit not just the throne, but the consequences of his decisions. Mary I, Elizabeth I, and Edward VI each faced the dual challenge of ruling a nation shaped by their father. His ambition, while navigating the lingering religious and political turmoil he left behind. Elizabeth I, known as the Virgin Queen, perfected the art of monarchy as both a symbol and an institution. She ruled with intelligence, charisma, and political acumen. Her mastery of image, ceremonial authority, and secret diplomacy allowed England to flourish economically, militarily, and culturally, even as Europe was convulsed by religious wars. Spies, coded letters, and careful manipulation of public perception became her weapons. England's navy grew formidable, trade expanded, and the nation became a cultural powerhouse. Yet Elizabeth's personal sacrifices the choice to remain unmarried. The constant tension with suitors and courtiers highlighted the human cost of royal duty. The Tudors also learned an essential lesson that would guide the monarchy for centuries. Survival depended on adaptability. They survived religious upheaval, external threats, and internal rebellion by combining ruthless pragmatism with strategic vision. The crown became not just a seat of power, but an institution capable of bending history to its will. Every alliance, marriage, and conquest reinforced the monarchy's resilience, establishing patterns that would echo through the centuries. The lesson of the Tudors resonates through history. The crown's survival relies not solely on force, but on intelligence, flexibility, and the ability to navigate the treacherous currents of politics, religion, and public opinion. In every decision from Henry VIII's dramatic break with Rome to Elizabeth's careful balancing of European powers, the monarchy reinforced a principle that would endure. The crown itself is eternal, even if kings and queens are mortal. Through intrigue, strategic marriages, religious innovation, and ruthless enforcement of authority, the Tudors set the stage for the British monarchy to transition from medieval feudal power to a centralized, enduring institution capable of withstanding centuries of challenge. This was the era where blood, crown, and empire first intertwined with cunning diplomacy, ceremonial mastery, and the unyielding will to survive. The death of Elizabeth I in 1603 marked the end of the Tudor line and the beginning of the Stuart era. James VI of Scotland became James I of England, uniting the crowns under a single ruler but inheriting a realm fraught with tension. The English monarchy had grown powerful, but the political landscape had shifted. The rise of Parliament, religious divisions, and societal unrest posed unprecedented challenges. To a royal family accustomed to absolute authority, James I believed in the divine right of kings, asserting that monarchs were answerable only to God. Yet, his vision collided with the expectations of an increasingly assertive parliament. Financial disputes, disagreements over foreign policy, and religious controversies strained the delicate balance between crown and state. His belief in centralized authority was undermined by practical realities: parliamentary resistance, public scrutiny, and the growing power of English gentry who demanded representation. James' son, Charles I, inherited these tensions and amplified them through a combination of rigidity, obstinacy, and his insistence on taxation without parliamentary consent, religious impositions, and disregard for the advice of ministers inflamed public anger. Rebellions simmered in the countryside, while cities like London became hotbeds of political agitation. Charis struggle exemplified a critical theme in royal survival. Authority alone could not sustain the crown without legitimacy and public support. The conflict escalated into the English Civil War 1642 to 1651, a brutal confrontation between royalist forces loyal to Charles I and parliamentarian forces led by Oliver Cromwell. Battles raged across the country. Marston Moor, Naseby, and Edge Hill became symbols of a monarchy under siege. Families were divided, lands burned, and the very notion of divine right monarchy was challenged. The war culminated in the unprecedented trial and execution of Charles I in 1649, a shocking demonstration that even kings were not invincible. Yet the monarchy survived not through continuity of rule, but through resilience and adaptability. Charles' son, Charles II, returned from exile during the Restoration of 1660, illustrating that the crown could endure even after revolution and regicide. The Stuarts learned that survival required negotiation, compromise, and an understanding of evolving political structures. No longer could the monarchy rely solely on divine right or brute force. It had to cultivate public legitimacy, work with parliament, and adapt ceremonial authority to a modernizing state. Religious tensions further tested James II's Catholicism, and attempts at religious favoritism sparked the Glorious Revolution of 1688, resulting in his flight from England and the ascension of William III and Mary II. This revolution fundamentally altered the monarchy. The crown's power was now explicitly limited by Parliament, and constitutional monarchy emerged as the model for survival. The Stuarts' struggles demonstrated that adaptability was no longer optional. It was essential. Through rebellion, civil war, and revolution, the British monarchy learned to balance authority with accountability. The crown survived because it could evolve, integrating lessons from failure while maintaining the symbolic continuity that legitimized its rule. Even when monarchs faltered, the institution endured, proving that survival depended not only on lineage or power, but on the ability to navigate political, religious, and societal currents. The legacy of the Stuarts is profound. They cemented the principle that the monarchy must coexist with representative institutions, laying the groundwork for the modern constitutional system. The crown's survival was no longer a guarantee of dominance. It required diplomacy, pragmatism, and an acute understanding of the people it ruled. In the turbulent years of the 17th century, the British royal family demonstrated its capacity to withstand existential threats, preserving an unbroken lineage that would shape the future of empire, governance, and global influence. The 18th century ushered in the Hanoverian dynasty, a period defined by political sophistication, global ambition, and the subtle transformation of the British monarchy into a modern institution. George I, a German prince, ascended the throne in 1714, inheriting not only England, but also the complex expectations of Parliament, a restless populace, and a world on the brink of colonial expansion. Unlike earlier monarchs, George I relied heavily on ministers and advisors, setting a precedent for constitutional monarchy while preserving the symbolic authority of the crown. This era marked the shift of the monarchy from direct military and political dominance to strategic influence. Kings like George II navigated European wars, including the War of Austrian Succession and the 7 Years' War, by relying on a combination of diplomacy, military funding, and the emerging role of the Prime Minister. Britain's naval power became central to its identity, with victories on the seas translating into the expansion of trade networks and colonies. The crown, though more restrained in domestic politics, wielded immense influence through empire. Under George III, the stakes of monarchy reached unprecedented heights. His reign encompassed revolutionary upheavals, the American War of Independence, and a world-changing industrial revolution. George III's struggles highlighted a recurring theme in royal survival: the tension between personal conviction and public legitimacy. He believed in the divine right of kings, but was constrained by Parliament, and his mental health struggles exposed the vulnerabilities of the crown. Yet even amid loss and rebellion, the monarchy endured, demonstrating resilience in the face of both internal and external crises. The Hanoverian era also reinforced the monarchy's symbolic power. Ceremonies, portraits, and patronage were used to project authority, culture, and continuity. The royal family cultivated an image of stability and unity, essential in maintaining the loyalty of a growing empire. Colonies in North America, the Caribbean, and India expanded Britain's reach, while domestic governance evolved, balancing constitutional limits with the monarchy's enduring prestige. By the end of the 18th century, the crown had learned that survival depended on adaptation. Direct military rule was no longer the path to influence. Instead, diplomacy, commerce, cultural symbolism, and constitutional restraint became the monarchy's tools. Through wars, rebellion, and political change, the British royal family had established a model for long-term survival, one that would carry it into the 19th century, guiding the empire to global dominance. This period also emphasized that the crown's power was intertwined with the broader imperial project. The expansion of trade, colonies, and naval supremacy ensured that the monarchy remained central to the projection of Britain's global influence. Monarchs were no longer just rulers of a nation. They were figureheads of a vast, interconnected empire. The ability to adapt, delegate, and maintain symbolic authority over distant territories became a hallmark of the monarchy's survival strategy, a formula that would endure through revolutions, wars, and social change. The 19th century witnessed the British monarchy reaching unprecedented heights under Queen Victoria, whose reign 1837 to 1901 came to symbolize the global might, domestic stability, and cultural influence of Britain. Victoria ascended the throne at just 18, a young woman suddenly tasked with navigating a rapidly industrializing society, political reform, and the delicate diplomacy of Europe. Her early years were shaped by the shadow of her predecessor, King William IV, and the firm guidance of her mother and the influential Kensington system, which attempted to mold the young queen into a controllable figure. Yet Victoria possessed an inner strength and intelligence that defied manipulation. Victoria's reign coincided with a period of extraordinary transformation. The Industrial Revolution reshaped Britain's economy, society, and cities, while political reforms gradually expanded suffrage and parliamentary power. Victoria had to balance these forces carefully. She cultivated her public image as a moral and stabilizing presence, emphasizing duty, family, and continuity. The Queen's marriage to Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha strengthened both personal and political stability, establishing a partnership that fused love with governance. Albert's influence on Victoria was profound, introducing systematic approaches to administration, diplomacy, and the management of the royal household, helping modernize the monarchy. Internationally, the British Empire expanded to an unprecedented scale, encompassing vast territories across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Victoria's symbolic presence reinforced imperial authority, even as the day-to-day administration relied on governors, civil servants, and military officers. The monarchy's role was increasingly ceremonial, yet central, a unifying figure for a diverse and sprawling empire. Victoria's image, immortalized in portraits, statues, and coins, projected stability and permanence, allowing the crown to maintain legitimacy even in distant colonies. Yet her reign was not without personal and political struggle. The death of Prince Albert in 1861 plunged Victoria into deep mourning, retreating from public life for years. Her grief sparked criticism and political tension, revealing the human vulnerability behind the crown. Domestically, she navigated challenges from reformist politicians, social unrest, and debates over monarchy versus parliamentary power. Internationally, she witnessed wars that tested Britain's influence, from the Crimean War to the complex diplomacy surrounding European power struggles. Victoria's reign exemplified the evolving nature of monarchy. Authority was no longer imposed solely through military might or divine right. Survival required adaptability, diplomacy, and the cultivation of public trust. Through ceremony, symbolism, and a careful balancing of domestic and imperial affairs, the crown secured both loyalty and relevance. The British monarchy had evolved into an institution that could endure societal transformation, industrialization, and political modernization, while still projecting power across continents. By the end of the 19th century, Queen Victoria had established a template for royal survival that would influence future generations. Blend personal virtue with political savvy, cultivate symbolism and ceremony, and maintain legitimacy in the eyes of both subjects and global observers. Her reign left a legacy of cultural authority, imperial expansion, and institutional resilience, demonstrating that the monarchy's survival depended on vision, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to its enduring role in the nation and the empire. The 20th century transformed the British monarchy in ways that would test its survival like never before. The House of Windsor, established in 1917 by King George V, marked a deliberate break from Germanic connections during World War I, symbolizing the monarchy's adaptability to public sentiment and national identity. Amid the carnage of war, economic uncertainty, and social change, the Windsors faced the challenge of maintaining relevance in a world increasingly shaped by democracy, mass media, and international scrutiny. The king embraced symbolic gestures, attending troops, opening hospitals, and addressing the nation during crises. Yet, he also navigated complex political waters, balancing relationships with Parliament while asserting the crown's traditional authority. By choosing love over duty, Edward created a constitutional crisis that could have weakened the crown. Yet the monarchy survived, a testament to its institutional resilience and the careful management of succession and public perception. His brother, George VI, assumed the throne and immediately faced the challenges of World War II. During the war, George VI and his consort, Queen Elizabeth, became symbols of courage and national unity. Radio broadcasts, public appearances, and personal engagement with soldiers and civilians alike strengthened the monarchy's image as both enduring and empathetic. Post-war Britain presented new challenges. Decolonization, social reform, and the rise of mass media reshaped public expectations. Queen Elizabeth II, ascending in 1952, faced the monumental task of leading a constitutional monarchy in a rapidly changing world. The Windsors' evolution illustrates that survival is not static. The monarchy endured wars, abdications, political reforms, and social upheaval by balancing tradition with adaptation. Authority now rests as much on perception, ceremony, and diplomacy as on military power or divine right. The crown's ability to navigate modernity while preserving its symbolic core demonstrates a continuity that stretches from William the Conqueror to the contemporary era, thousand-year journey of resilience, influence, and strategic foresight. Through the first half of the 20th century, the Windsors proved that royal survival depends on flexibility, empathy, and engagement with both domestic and global audiences. By confronting crises openly yet with careful management, the monarchy reinforced its legitimacy, ensuring that the crown remained a symbol of unity, continuity, and national identity in an era defined by change. The late 20th and early 21st centuries brought a new set of trials for the British monarchy. Unlike the battles and political upheavals of previous centuries, survival now hinged on perception, media scrutiny, and public trust. Queen Elizabeth II, after decades of steadfast reign, faced a world transformed by technology, globalization, and evolving societal expectations. The monarchy, once unassailable through divine right or military power, now depended on the court of public opinion. Scandals tested this fragile balance. The marriages of Charles, Prince of Wales, and Diana, Princess of Wales, captivated on often horrified of the tragic death of Diana in 1997 amplified criticism of the institution, as millions questioned the relevance and emotional accessibility of the royal family. The monarchy faced the delicate task of mourning while maintaining dignity, a challenge it had rarely encountered on such a global scale. Queen Elizabeth's measured response and eventual public engagement exemplified the monarchy's enduring adaptability, balancing tradition with empathy. Globalization and the media further transformed the crown into an institution under constant observation. Every gesture, every statement, every appearance became symbolic. The Windsors had to manage a dual existence, representing national continuity while appealing to an international audience. From Commonwealth nations to global media consumers, ceremonial events, charitable engagements, and diplomatic visits reinforced relevance, projecting soft power across continents. The monarchy also adapted to social change, inclusivity, modernization of protocol, and engagement with contemporary issues became tools of survival. Younger royals, including William Prince of Wales and Prince Harry, faced the challenge of connecting with a generation increasingly skeptical of inherited privilege. Their actions and choices could either reinforce the monarchy's relevance or expose it to criticism. The institution's survival relied on balancing youthful visibility with the respect commanded by tradition. Despite challenges, the monarchy has retained its symbolic power. Public fascination, historical continuity, and ceremonial authority ensure that the crown remains a central figure in British life and a global emblem of heritage and stability. The Windsors' careful management of crises, personal tragedies, and social evolution illustrates a key principle. Royal survival is as much about perception, adaptability, and relevance as it is about power. In navigating modernity, the monarchy has demonstrated its enduring ability to learn, adapt, and preserve the institution across centuries. From medieval battles to contemporary media scrutiny, the British royal family has proven that legitimacy is cultivated not only through bloodline and authority, but through careful engagement, cultural influence, and the ability to embody continuity amid change. The crown, though symbolic, remains an anchor for national identity and global influence, a testament to a thousand-year journey of survival, resilience, and strategic foresight. The British monarchy at the dawn of the 21st century stands as a living testament to resilience, adaptability, and the strategic cultivation of legitimacy. From the Norman conquest to the Windsors' global presence, the crown has weathered centuries of war, political upheaval, scandal, and social transformation. Its endurance is not accidental. It is the result of careful management, institutional flexibility, and a keen understanding of power, both symbolic and practical. The monarchy's strength lies in its dual nature. It is both a personal family and an enduring institution. Individual rulers, from William the Conqueror to Queen Elizabeth II, faced mortal vulnerabilities, personal grief, and public criticism. Yet the institution itself has transcended these challenges, adapting to political reforms, constitutional constraints, and the ever-watchful gaze of global media. Ceremonies, rituals, and state functions have become not just tradition, but tools of soft power, reinforcing legitimacy and inspiring loyalty across generations. Global influence has also been central to the monarchy's enduring authority. Through the expansion of the British Empire, the Windsors established cultural, economic, and political connections that outlasted colonial rule. Even today, the Commonwealth and ceremonial diplomacy extend the crown's reach, offering a subtle yet potent form of influence that relies on respect, tradition, and shared heritage rather than military might. At home, the monarchy continues to embody continuity. In times of national crisis wars, economic depressions, pandemics, it has provided a symbol of stability. Its ability to balance tradition with modern expectations ensures relevance. Engaging with social issues, embracing public scrutiny, and evolving protocol while maintaining dignity and authority. Younger generations of royals are learning to navigate these demands, understanding that visibility, empathy, and cultural resonance are essential to survival. The story of the British royal family demonstrates a consistent principle. Survival requires more than power. It demands adaptability, legitimacy, and an intimate understanding of the people governed. From medieval feudal struggles to globalized media scrutiny, the monarchy has endured by continually recalibrating the balance between authority and public approval. Ultimately, the British monarchy's legacy is a reflection of centuries of strategic foresight, institutional resilience, and cultural stewardship. It has survived invasions, revolutions, civil wars, abdications, and scandals, emerging as both a symbol of continuity and a functional pillar of national identity. The crown's power is now less about direct control and more about perception, influence, and inspiration, testament to the enduring journey of an institution that has, for 1,000 years, mastered the art of survival. Conclusion. The British monarchy is a remarkable journey from William the Conqueror's conquest to the modern Windsors demonstrates 1,000 years of resilience, adaptability, and strategic foresight. Through wars, rebellions, personal scandals, political reforms, and social transformations, the crown has survived not merely by power, but through legitimacy, symbolism, and the careful cultivation of public trust. Monarchs have balanced duty with personal sacrifice, tradition with modernization, and authority with diplomacy, ensuring that the institution endures even as the world changes around it. Today, the monarchy remains a global emblem of continuity, influence, and national identity, a living testament to the vision, leadership, and perseverance of generations of rulers who shaped not only Britain, but a legacy that echoes across the centuries.